From the BzG studio in the Mission Dolores district, right in the heart of San Francisco, it's BzG News with Barrett Courtney.
Thank you over there, and thank you kindly over here. What's up, everybody? My name is Barrett Courtney, and this is BzG News. Yes, it is our weekly show where I bring in all of the important, fucked up, nerdy news that you should care about, and I give my 2 cents on it today. We've got a full fucking episode today, all packed, jammed with a bunch of shit. Ricky Baldazan will be coming on later to Netflix and chill with me, and Alex O'Neill and Brian Nabeshin Jackson from irrationalpassions.com will be coming for an in-house interview, the first in-house Gamer of the Month interview, where I don't actually do it over on Google Hangouts, which always turns into a fucking travesty. We'll actually have them right here for your bodies to fully appreciate. But before we get to those things that'll be really fun, let's get into the nerdy news you care about. And I just want to say, if you watched last week's episode, I said something along the lines of, hey, we're recording this episode early, so I might miss some news that might be important that you want me to talk about. Of course, that happened on the week that Batman Return to Arkham was officially announced. The collection will include Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and all of the DLC that was available for both of the games. So just a sort of elaborate on that. All of the exclusive PS3 content for Arkham Asylum will be available for both Xbox One and PlayStation 4. So if you really wanted to dive into the playing as the Joker, there you go, Xbox fans. It will exclude Arkham Origins and Arkham Knight. People will be able to return to the beloved 2 games on July 26th on Xbox One and PS4. People are like, yeah, they haven't announced a fucking PC one. It's like, do you really want a remaster PC version of games that don't run well on PC? Like, get the fuck over it. So here we go. I'm sure everybody who knows BzG wants to know my thoughts, right? Because I love Batman Arkham. Batman Arkham City is my favorite game of all time. And I was thinking about this, and I watched the trailer a couple of times. I looked at some images of graphic comparisons, and people are like, oh, it looks so much shittier than the original. And I don't think that for the most part. To give my 2 cents on the graphics and sort of specifically character models, when in the trailer, when you look at the scope of like the city layout and like seeing the full like Arkham Asylum building, I think those look fucking fantastic. Specifically the shot where Batman's looking at Arkham Asylum and you see the rain dropping onto Batman. I thought that was beautiful. The 2 things I am concerned about, specifically Arkham City, some of the character models looked a little dulled down, almost like plasticky. It's specifically Catwoman and Two-Face that look really weird and out of place. And I was thinking about this, and it might be because you know this is leaked like 10 million times, like fucking a bunch of times. I talked about it, I'm sure, a couple weeks ago, and it was weird that they hadn't actually come out and said like, hey, it's coming out. And I think they wanted to wait to do a trailer for it. I think the reason why they took so long is because I don't think Virtuous, who was working on the HD like remasters of the games, I don't think they're fully done with City yet, because it's coming out in July 26th. You got to figure they'll probably be officially finished with the game in late June. So I feel like they're still touching up City a little bit. So if you're worried like me, if you're being realistic and you're actually happy with generally how the 2 games look, but are worried like me about specific character renders, I think they'll have that fully fledged out by the time like the game goes gold or whatever. So I'm really excited, so like the colors that they're working with in the remaster definitely give off like a really cool vibe, especially like their more use of brighter colors in Asylum. And I know that's not everybody's excited about that because Asylum is very dark, very dreary and whatnot. But I think the use of colors every once in a while might make it, I don't know, feel a little more, I wouldn't say like not too dark or whatever, but I think it gives more of like a fun color like palette to look at, a little more prettier on the eyes, easy on the eyes, I should say. But like I said before, a couple weeks on the show about my thoughts on Arkham Origins. Y'all motherfuckers were down on the game when it originally come out, and now you're bitching that it's not coming along with these 2 games. Seriously, pick a fucking side. Pick a fucking side, motherfucking people who are like, oh, Origins isn't as good as the original 2. Oh, but Origins isn't going to be part of this collection. It's like, fucking make up your minds, you pieces of shit. I think Origins is okay. I'm not like crying like Roger Picorni from youtube.com/RodsFormer. I think that's your URL, Roger. I'm sorry if I totally fucking Alex O'Neill in the crowd today. He says I nailed it on the head with that URL. Roger Picorni from youtube.com/RodsFormer said, you know, he's sort of upset that Arkham Origins isn't coming to the collection. And I'm not like that. I'm not like jonesing to play Origins again. It's a good story. It's a really good story. Gameplay feels very weird. I know Greg Miller likes to defend, like, oh, I feel like they were trying to make it feel like it's a new Batman. I honestly don't think that was it. I honestly just think that it was WB Montreal really just trying to figure out how the engine worked and getting familiar with it. So I don't know. I don't think that Origins was necessary. And then people, like, from all of the reports I read about Return to Arkham, some people were like, oh yeah, and Arkham Knight doesn't come with it. It's like, why the fuck would Arkham Knight come with this collection? Whatever. I'm excited. You should be too. If you've never played these games before, I highly recommend that you do. So expect that in late July. Breaking news from NeoGAF. A NeoGAF user found a pretty interesting quote from Nintendo's upcoming business practices that was found on Yahoo Japan Finance. The quote translates as, quote, "The driving business up until now has been new business from health services, theme parks, and mobile games, but will switch over to the next generation game system, NX, and the next generation handheld, codename MH," unquote. So apparently there's a new handheld in the works, and I read a little piece this morning about they're making comments. Whoever like wrote that down made the comment of like, oh, that's just like a possibility, but you don't give a code name to something. I feel like to something if it's just a possibility, right? So codename MH for this supposed handheld. Who the fuck knows what it stands for? My guesses are Mario handheld, My handheld, Mark Hoppus, Madden HD. Those are my guesses of what MH stands for. I don't know. This seems interesting, especially since the NX has been rumored to be this whole like console slash handheld sort of system. So maybe NX isn't what we're expecting it to be. Maybe it is just a console, and that actually has me a little excited for what the NX could possibly be if MH is really a thing. So I don't know. Hopefully we'll hear more about it in the next year or so, just because, you know, Nintendo's taking their fucking dandy old time trying to announce all the new Nintendo shit coming out. Moving on with the news, after telling fans to expect announcements on new releases soon, Rockstar has also come out to say that they have no plan to release a new game in their current fiscal year, which ends March 31st, 2017. So the closest we could see a new Rockstar game coming out would be April 2017. This is interesting. I don't think you should be worried about not hearing about new games. Obviously, they said about a week or so ago that, like, hey, we're going to be announcing new stuff soon. I expect they will maybe have possibly a presence at E3 in some way, shape, or form. I don't know how. But if not E3, they're probably going to do their own thing. They usually do. They're not usually a big force at E3, so I would expect to hear something soon. Red Dead 3 seems inevitable. Pie in the sky, I'm hoping for a Bully sequel or a Bully reboot or something. Just something related to Bully. Can I get an amen, Ricky Baldazan in the crowd?
Amen.
Yes, thank you. And I would like to hear from a new IP from Rockstar. You know, I think they're really talented people, and I would be behind any new idea that they might have, because they are definitely smart minds over there. And I for people wanting a new GTA announcement, I still think it's too close to GTA 5 to really announce anything. Because let's think about this here. GTA 5 originally came out in 2013, I believe, and then GTA 4 came out in Fuck, what was it? 2008, 2009? I could be totally wrong about that. It's that era. It's those couple of years, I believe. So I think we won't hear about another GTA game. Probably 2018, 2019, I would say. Probably in time for a new console generation. If the console generation for this time around is shorter, which is what we've been thinking about the last couple months, is maybe the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One won't last as long as the last console generation. So who knows? I'm excited any way that they could possibly go with any project that they have. So exciting news. Nonetheless, moving on, after strong critical acclaim, Sony announced that Uncharted 4: A Thief's End sales hit 2.7 million copies in its first week. That makes it the fastest selling first-party PS4 game to date, although it fell short of Uncharted 3's numbers with 3.8 million copies sold on day one. Now, I believe this was talked about on the most recent episode of PS I Love You XOXO, which you can find on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. What Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty were saying is that the reason why it probably did not sell as fast as Uncharted 3 is because by the time Uncharted 3 came out, there was more of a presence on the PlayStation 3. It was near the end of the PlayStation 3's life cycle, so there were more core audience people to go and buy it. We're still very early in the PlayStation 4 life cycle, but I still think it's interesting, right? Because it's the fastest first-party PS4 game to date, and it's 2.7 million, which I think is actually a little low, to be honest. Definitely impressive numbers, nonetheless. Just in context of everything else that's been selling recently, but with a console that has 40 million consoles out there in the wild with people playing on them. 2.7 million is 5% of the people who own a PlayStation 4, and I thought it would have been higher, especially since Uncharted 4 hype has been very real for the last year, and especially since the HD collection for Uncharted came out. Even though maybe not as many people who have a PlayStation 4 now had a PlayStation 3 and know about Uncharted, you would have thought that maybe having the collection available to them, maybe more fans came on and got access to that and learned more about Uncharted. Like myself, I didn't play Uncharted for the PS3. The first time I played it was last year, so I thought there would have been more of people like myself. So I don't know. We'll see how their numbers do in the coming weeks, I guess. And that's interesting to think about with other PS4 first-party console games and how those have done. Because I don't feel like we've gotten many first-party console games for the PS4. Obviously, I don't think Infamous was big enough to hit numbers like this. Until Dawn is not a first party or technically a first party. I have no idea. My audience is on their cell phones for some fucking reason. So it's interesting because there's no way Sony is going to talk about other first party games numbers, but it makes me want to know how well the other first party games have done. So I don't know. Interesting news. Congrats to Naughty Dog. They made a fantastic game. Very well received. Fans are freaking out because IGN gave it an 8.8 and then gave it a 9, and they're all fucking bitching and complaining. They should be more mad about that Washington Post review where the guy reviewing the game has no idea how to fucking review a game, has no idea what he's talking about, and on Metacritic he gave it a 4 out of 10 or whatever, even though his actual review you can find on the website didn't have a number on it. Fucking weird. Whole big thing. You can read up on it. Nerds Online talked about it in their most recent podcast. Go check that out. Anyway, for our final piece of news this week, Netflix and Disney made an ultimate deal back in 2012 that dealt with exclusive streaming of Disney movies. Earlier this week, it was announced we'll finally be able to see that deal come to life when Netflix will be the exclusive home for streaming of Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm, and Pixar movies this September. Now, I didn't write this in the actual thing I wrote, but I don't want people to get their hopes up, right? It's not all Marvel, Disney, Lucasfilm, and Pixar movies that have come out in the past. It's not like we're going to get all the Star Wars movies. It's not like we're going to get all of the MCU movies. It's going to be all of the new movies starting in 2016 that have come out under these companies will have exclusive streaming services on Netflix. So imagine when this starts in September, Civil War will probably be on there. Possibly Finding Dory. That actually might be a little too close to Finding Dory's theater release. So from here on out, all of the new movies that come out for these companies will be the movies that will have exclusive Netflix streaming services. So, but still not what we as fans want, because of course we would love to have Star Wars on Netflix. So we would love to have fucking Disney movies and Pixar. Like I would love to have Toy Story movies on Netflix and shit, but not what's gonna happen, which is a little upsetting. But hey, we got something. We got a little cock tease of what we could fully get. So yeah, that's all the fucking news. Ladies and gentlemen, that was all the news that we had for this week. But since our last piece of news dealt with some Netflix, I thought it'd be a good transition into Netflix and Chill with Ricky Baldazan, our monthly segment where I bring in Ricky Baldazan, and he has no idea what this list is, but I tell him all the things leaving Netflix and all the things coming to Netflix in the month of June. I can't believe we're already like hitting June. Yeah. It's so fucking weird. Yeah. I can't believe it. We made it this far. We started from the bottom. Now we're there. Ricky, what do you want to hear first? Leaving Netflix or coming to Netflix?
Let's do what we usually do. Let's go leaving, make some room,
and then bring all the new stuff in. Yeah. Got a short list for you. A long list of stuff. You could probably find it on IGN or GameSpot or whatever. But I thought I'd give you the short and sweet list of the highlights of what's leaving and coming. So first, what's leaving Netflix in the month of June? Bridget Jones's Diary. Did you ever watch this movie?
It doesn't sound like anything I would watch.
I mean, come on. It's about this girl who's in a love triangle. Oh. Totally sounds up your alley. Yeah? Mm-hmm. It was definitely a favorite of my mother's.
No, then it's probably a favorite of mine.
You and my mom, same total expectations for movies.
Mm-hmm. All that.
Also leaving, a little sad, good stoner movie for your stoner little brain. Mm. Not that you have a little brain, but yeah, a little cute little stoner brain that you got going on there. Dude, Where's My Car is leaving. Did you ever like this one?
I love this movie.
Oh yeah, I've only seen it once. Yeah, I've only seen it once, and I have like foggy memories of it.
Seems like if there was any stoner movie you'd be into, it'd probably be.
I mean, I do love me some Ashton Kutcher, and he's basically sort of playing like a modern Kelso in that.
Yeah.
To a point.
It has who's the other guy? He's in all the American Pies.
Yeah, whatever his fucking name, the face that he makes, like the fucking.
I did like Goon.
Goon? Yeah. Oh, is that the hockey movie that he's in? Yeah, that's on Netflix. I don't know if that's leaving or coming to Netflix, but it was on Netflix at one point. So if you want to watch that guy in a movie, I guess see that.
Yeah, that's better than the American Pie.
Also leaving, and this is like a must-watch before this movie leaves. Groundhog Day.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen Groundhog Day? Fucking.
It's Bill Murray.
Yeah, I know Bill Murray is your babe, but we've just never talked about Groundhog Day before, so I just didn't know.
Yeah, no, I love movies.
That's a classic movie. If you've never seen that movie, I highly recommend it.
I'll even watch his Christmas Carol one.
Was that any good? I didn't hear that was.
I don't really remember it being good. It has Bill Murray in it, so.
So yeah, it's like you can put Bill Murray into a shitty movie and it's like a little better just because it's Bill Murray.
Like Ghostbusters, but you know.
No, the original Ghostbusters was fucking phenomenal. All right.
No, I'm saying, but like.
The new one.
They don't have them in the new one. That's what I said.
Whatever. Next thing leaving, a lot of Disney stuff leaving this month. We got Hercules.
Hercules is leaving.
Hercules is leaving.
What is Netflix doing?
I don't fucking know, man. They're fucking up.
Why would you take that away?
They're fucking up, man. I think it probably has something to do with like their agreement with Disney. They probably have to like take off older stuff so they're allowed to bring in new stuff. It's probably some weird contract bullshit.
I fucks with Hercules so much.
Hercules is so good. It's like one of those really good like 90s music, like Disney musical movies.
I'll probably watch it later tonight.
Another one leaving. I didn't write this on here, but Kinky Boots.
Oh, that's a good movie. You went to go see it.
I went to go see the musical. That's the first time I've ever seen it ever.
So good.
Like movie and yeah, it was fun. I guess my weird sort of out of nowhere review of it is I think the main character, not the drag queen, but the main character who makes the shoes. Mm-hmm. He's a little just like one-dimensional. Yeah. And every time they talk about like, oh, this shoe place might close down, I'm like, oh my god, I don't give a shit. Yeah. Just show me the fucking drag show sequences. Like that's what I want. Yeah. And then Wayne's World is also leaving.
Get out of here.
Really?
Yeah.
You're tired of Wayne's World?
I'm tired of everybody loving Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, that's, like, the best song.
Like, that's the only Queen song?
Shut up about Queen and shut up about Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm not saying Queen sucks. I love me some Queen.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to...
It's all just the fake-ass fans who are like, yeah, I love Queen. Here are the favorite songs of Queen I have. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Everybody singing...
The list goes on.
Everybody singing Bohemian Rhapsody and referencing Wayne's World is the same people going to Giants games and saying how much they love Journey, but they only really know the 2 songs.
Fuck Journey. Journey sucks.
Thank you.
Also leaving The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Or, if you like to hear me say it in the French version.
I don't want to.
Notre Dame.
No.
You're too late. The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I never really liked that movie that much.
Really?
I don't hate it.
I watched the original French movie version of it in French class in high school. Very weird. Very weird.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was the thing.
Yeah. Also, Beauty and the Beast had a French movie, and Beauty and the Beast French movie, really weird, really fucking weird ending. They like float into a city into the clouds. And it's like fucking like they were just on fucking acid or something when they wrote the ending.
That sounds like a lot of drugs.
That sounds like they're like leaving to go to like the Wizard of Oz or like see Flash Gordon or something. Like that's how weird that ending was.
I can't wait for Little Prince to be on Netflix so you can watch.
Oh my! You got to see The Little Prince.
So good.
Oh my god! I'm so fucking ready. I'm so ready to have those feels.
So good. I tried a lot.
Also leaving Netflix, another sad one, Mulan.
Oh, that's.
Let's get down to business, man. To defeat.
Why are we taking that away?
The Hun. Yeah, I know. That's so. I mean, that was another one where I told Alyssa, I was like, oh, that sucks. And Alyssa was like, we own it. Why do you give a shit?
It seems like everybody owns a copy of Mulan. Henry doesn't, though.
Henry doesn't own a copy of Mulan because Henry's a punk ass bitch.
Because Henry's family fought for the Huns, actually.
Whoa. And then the last thing leaving Netflix in the month of June, a really sad one. Another one I highly recommend before it leaves. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
I can't watch that movie.
Why? What?
It's not. No, I love that movie.
Okay.
I love that movie to death.
Yeah.
But I always get like weird, trippy dreams after.
Oh yeah, the fucking villain at the end, where all like all the cartoon eyes are coming out of him. Oh yeah, very creepy. Probably, definitely cemented my personality from an early childhood watching that movie.
Most movies with like live action and animation at the same time usually give me weird dreams. Like Space Jam does that to me.
God damn, Let's get Space Jam onto Netflix. Come on, let's fucking do it. All right, we made the room. Are you ready to hear what's coming to Netflix?
Ready.
All right,
I'm empty and ready.
The first thing that's coming, I have no idea if this is the show or if this is like a documentary. All I know is that it's called Bob Ross, Beauty is Everywhere.
It's probably a documentary.
Yeah, I feel like it's a documentary. Yeah. I still feel like it will be a very calming documentary.
Oh yeah, no, I'm watching the shit. I'm watching the shit out of it.
Yeah, fucking Bob Ross. I missed the Bob Ross on Twitch. That was a fun time.
Yeah.
And then also coming to Netflix, I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, and I recommend it. It's not great, but Leonardo DiCaprio does pretty well in it, is J. Edgar.
Oh, I've never seen that.
I think it's about him being the head of the... I'm going to fuck this up. I think it's the head of the FBI, and it's about like Edgar Hoover.
Gotcha.
And it's sort of like sort of the love affair he has with like another man and all of this stuff. Really well done. Has Armie Hammer in it, who I believe plays the two twins in The Social Network. Right. You remember it was played by one guy, but they CGI'd his face onto another person's body. It was all sorts of weird and shit. I believe that's him in that movie, and I remember liking him as well.
I used to know someone who worked on that movie, like family friend.
Interesting.
I forget who it was exactly. But I've been wanting to watch that movie.
I would say, like, don't expect like a great movie. Don't expect Inception or fucking Wolf of Wall Street or anything. But it has Leo in it, and it's another good performance from Leo. So if you want that, I think J. Edgar is a good pick. Next thing coming to Netflix, Jurassic Park.
Oh, that's a man's movie.
That is a man's movie. I have not watched Jurassic Park all the way through since I think I was like 10 years old. So I'm actually excited to go back and like see like how it holds up.
Jurassic Park is like kind of like Star Wars and stuff for me, where and Harry Potter, where like I'll rewatch it every year.
Yeah, it makes it. You always have like make time for it for a specific time of the year. Harry Potter is always like Christmas time for me for some reason.
Yeah,
I feel that.
With like Jurassic World coming out, like I had like just watched it before that came out. Rewatch them again.
Next thing, the first exclusive thing coming to Netflix for the month of June. I don't know if you've seen the trailer yet, but the trailer is really fucking awesome. Gave me chills, and I'm so fucking excited. And I'm really glad I did not go to the tour that he was doing because he was down in San Jose a couple months ago recording this.
Every time you say "give me chills," I imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze coming out.
I give me the chills. The next thing coming,
Cast calls for ice.
Bo Burnham, Make Happy, his new stand-up comedy special. Oh my god, I'm so fucking excited.
Yeah, that's
Alex is also really excited as well.
That's a guy where it seems like everybody we know gets super hyped.
I don't know how he's gonna be able to follow the last one up, just because like I remember when that came out and I didn't even want to consider it a stand-up comedy special. It's almost just like a one-man show because there are ups and downs. There are like times that you laugh and times that you the ending is just so fucking personal. Just like we think we know you. Just, oh my god. I don't know how he's going to follow it up. But during that trailer, I was still so fucking excited. I recommend watching it before it comes out because I think it sets a good tone for what we're going to get. So, fucking Bo Burnham, man. I'm so fucking ready. The next thing coming up, The League Season 7. I have not finished Season 7. I think this is the only season I haven't caught up on. But I am so fucking ready for The League.
So good.
You are now welcome into the Jew Force. I'm so like I really need that kind of comedy in my life because what's it called? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like that kind of comedy. Like I'm missing it, and I burned through the new season that was on Netflix for Always Sunny in like one night. I burned through that, so I'm in this void of like I need that fucked up humor. So I'm excited for The League to come back.
Ever since you showed me The League, I completely cut off Always Sunny from my life.
Because The League is a good like mixture of like you actually like some of the characters. It's just every once in a while they say fucked up things. So it's not like constantly shitty people constantly all the time. And then the second exclusive thing coming to Netflix, and I hope it has a great return because I didn't like season 3. Orange is the New Black, season 4.
Everybody gets so hyped up.
Whatever, dude. You loved the first 2 seasons. I remember a time when we started BzG and you're like, Orange is the New Black is my shit, man.
I'm so over it.
But yeah, we gotta admit, season 3 was a very not that great season. Very much like House of Cards season 3. But I really hope this has a turnaround like House of Cards. Or House of Cards season 3, not that great. Season 4 though, holy fucking shit, yes. Season 4 was really good.
I'll be eating my own shit.
Yeah, I'm excited. I hope they do what they did a little bit in season 3 was they didn't focus as much on Piper, which is a very unlikable lead. Yeah, she really is, and I honestly can't tell. It's just like I can't tell if it's the way she's written. I can't tell if it's the way the actress is playing her. It's just let's just not focus on Piper, and I'm so glad that the American Pie fucker guy is out of the show. They're dragging him on for way too long.
Piper and Alex, I hope.
Oh my god, yeah, and it sucks because I love her. Donna from That 70s Show, fuck yes, but
she'll always be Donna.
Sin City, A Dame to Kill For.
Why? Why are we still doing this?
Why are we doing this thing where we bring on sequels to Netflix, but not the first one? What the fuck are we doing?
This Sin City thing?
I mean, people like it. I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in A Dame to Kill For.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt annoys the shit out of me.
Why? Joseph Gordon-Levitt is fucking bae.
And I don't like it.
And then the last thing coming to Netflix, I don't know if you've seen this one. And I recommend everybody watch this. It was Film of the Year contender and actually winner for the 2016 Oscars. Spotlight.
2016 Olympics.
Spotlight, which is about the sort of the scandal of the Catholic Church and the priests and whatnot. It's a horrifying movie. But I highly
anything that pulls away the curtain for the Catholic Church.
I think I highly recommend it. I really like Mark Ruffalo's performance. I really like who played Birdman.
I believe his name was Fuck.
Birdman.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton's in it. I think he does really well. Great cast, horrifying story, but a great message to put out there. Even though I think, and not Netflix for June, but A Big Short, they announced is coming in a couple months to Netflix, and I think The Big Short and Spotlight are fucking terrifying. So if you want some like crazy reality checks on like life and how fucked up our society is, go watch those movies. Netflix. Your name is Netflix now. Ricky, thank you so much for Netflix and chilling with me this week.
Yeah, girl.
I love Netflix and chilling with you.
I love Netflix so much. You too. Don't touch me.
It was your birthday yesterday. By the time people were watching this,
fucked me up. So
I know.
I was like,
by the time people were watching this, it was your birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
So I just want to take the time. Happy birthday to you. You're 20 years old. You beat teen pregnancy. Go wish him a happy birthday on Twitter.
Thought I was gonna do it.
At Baldazon96, or you can just tweet at me to tell him happy birthday or whatever. He never checks Twitter. So happy birthday. Send him your love. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which isn't much. So
I'm gonna go watch Civil War.
We're gonna go to Underdogs.
I'm going Underdogs. I'm living the Barrett life.
doing the Barrett lifestyle where we do absolutely nothing with our lives.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, this might be part 2 of the interview with Alex and Nabeshin, or it might be the beginning of this interview. Who the fuck knows? We had audio issues. So here, join with us, just as a recap possibly, is Alex, O'Neill, and Nabeshin from IrrationalPassions.com. They're both hosts for Irrational Passions podcast, weekly podcast, which you can find on the website, on iTunes, on the Zoom.
It's about video games.
It's about video games, nerdy stuff. They go through the video game news. They go through what they've been playing, and you know.
And then we take garbage questions from
and then you take questions from me, and
sometimes yes,
sometimes Trevor Starkey, and sometimes over PR.
JC Ramirez. So we might have the first part of this interview up. It just might sound like garbage.
It might sound like garbage, which hopefully you guys dealt with. Who the fuck knows? So this is possibly part 1 or part 2 of this interview. Who knows? Anyway, to continue on, I guess if this is the only part of the interview, I apologize, but I don't want to go back and re-ask a bunch of questions because we had a lot of.
I wouldn't answer them.
Yeah, you just sit there in silence.
No.
So the next question I asked, and to give context, the last thing we talked about was names and whatnot, and how you got Nabeshin, how I got Barrett, Alex. Obviously, it was just probably like a random fucking pick.
Longtime listeners of Irrational Passions will know the name that once was. My other name, my other first name.
Right.
Your other first name?
Yeah.
You have another first name.
My parents wanted to name me Storm.
Fuck yes. Right? Fuck yes. Oh my god. It's like how
but my grandmother
mom...
threatened to take them out of the will if they named me that. I shit you not. This is a real thing.
That's fucking awesome.
So I was gonna
this sounds like an episode of All My Children.
I was gonna legally change my name to Storm when I turned 18. After a very interesting conversation with my healthcare provider, I decided against it.
Okay. That reminds me of when my mom was pregnant with my sister. My stepdad wanted to name her the Hulk. So yeah, there was that.
The Hulk.
The Hulk.
You go from
the Hulk Taylor.
You go from Barrett to the Hulk.
Well, my stepdad, my dad was the one who named me, and his stepdad, different.
Less creative name.
So the next thing I want to ask you guys is, what game made you want to make content about video games, or get into this weird video game industry where we talk about them a lot?
I have a weird answer.
What is your weird answer?
Super Smash Brothers Brawl.
Yes, because I think we've had this conversation before about how you were so excited for the game that you started listening to a Brawl podcast.
Yeah,
right?
that was the first video game podcast I ever listened to.
Yeah.
Show Me Your News.
It's
weird. So like the host of that podcast now recently followed me on Twitter.
Oh, wow.
Peter. at SMYN Yoko, I believe is his Twitter handle. So like him and I have like talked about like stuff, and hopefully I'll be able to collaborate with him in the future. But his wife was one of the people that brought gifts to the Kind of Funny panel at PAX East.
Oh, interesting.
And I didn't get the chance to talk to her there, but that was just like a super weird, like
sort of coincidental,
small world type deal.
Okay.
But yeah, like it wasn't even like I was so passionate about that game that I wanted to. I was so excited, and I wanted to be like have this conversation. It was just like that specifically was what I was interested in at the time, and I started trying to start a website and all that stuff. And like it would later go down the line of like I just wanted to cover the industry as a whole. That was just the specific game that kind of got that spark started.
Yeah. All right.
Me is just
It's Mass Effect 2.
pretty much. Like, there was a period where like for an entire year it was just nothing but the Mass Effect series I was just playing, and pretty much nothing else.
It's like me with the Batman Arkham games.
Yeah,
Totally feel you on that one.
Yeah, it was like probably 1,000 hours like total. It's just like
Jesus.
And probably the worst thing about it is like I never changed my fucking decision. I just did the same decisions over and over again because I enjoyed it that much. I enjoyed the characters that much. I enjoyed going through that world that much. So, and it was just like I just wanted to talk to people about my love for Mass Effect. And that's how I got more involved with Alex and them, and and that was just pretty much like my soapbox to like, hey, I like Mass Effect.
Cool.
To revisit like the topic of like, I guess not necessarily genres that Nabeshin and I connect on, but we're both the weirdos that go back and replay video games.
I mean, I do that all the time.
In their entirety?
Oh, yeah, I do that all the time. Before Uncharted 4 came out, and I haven't gone back to it because I was in the middle of it when Uncharted 4 came out, so I was like, all right, I got to move on to this. I was just playing Arkham Knight again.
Yeah.
Over. I do that with a lot of games. Like mainly just because I'm broke as fuck. So
I mean, like, I just like, I go back and replay Kingdom Hearts 2 once every year. Like, I'm currently replaying through Demon Souls and Persona 4 Golden. Okay. Right? I just like, I love these games so much, or it's like something I haven't played in a while. I just want to re-experience it. It's never quite the same, but each new playthrough kind of brings its own experience.
This is a nice reminder of what you did feel at the time. And it's like, I remember.
Yeah, it's a nostalgia thing.
I remember this broke me when I was.
And I sort of feel that between all of us is like we are sort of like part of that nostalgic sort of person.
Totally.
So yeah, I totally feel you on the going back and playing old video games over and over again because I do that all the fucking time. So, but not talking about old games. Let's talk about some new games. What games are your most anticipated game right now? It could be for 2016 or just in the future. Like, what video game are you guys like really excited for?
Is it the same for both of us?
Persona.
Yeah. Persona.
What do you guys hope to see out of this new Persona game?
Just more of it. Honestly,
yeah, right.
It's like
they could just make another Persona 4, and I'd be okay with it.
Okay.
To an extent, yes. Like, we've gotten like sort of spinoffs from Persona 4, and like, not that they've beaten it to the ground, but like, like
they know though.
Yeah, like I'm done with those characters. Like, not in the like I'm done like knowing more about you, but like. It's clear you're taking advantage of them, so like just put them away from now and just like get us started on a new fresh like going for a game for like Persona 4 to like a game like Catherine, which they did in the PS3 and Xbox 360 era. You can see the potential of what they can do and like as far as like their style and like graphics and like how they can like make people seem more genuine and more open than like anything that I've seen, and like and you can like get that immediately from the trailer. So like Persona 5 just looks like totally on point.
Yeah. I mean, like for me it really comes from like I played Persona 3 7 years ago now, in 2009, like when I was like super sick, and as soon as I finished that game, like, it's like so emotional for me. Like that game came out of nowhere. I had no idea what to expect. Played through. I've written an article about it. It's just like it is super important in my life and my career as someone who plays video games. Jumping right into 4, I couldn't get into it right away. It was just like it was more of the same. Right. Years later, when Golden comes out, I can finally play through that whole game and finish it. And like the improvement from 3 to 4 was massive, right? And that's like that. Like Persona 3 came out in like 2006, and then Persona 4 initially came out in like 2007, 2008.
Okay.
It's like 2005 to 2008, that kind of range between the two. And like they knew exactly how they could improve it, but like it wasn't obvious improvements all around. Like some of the stuff just
is like a little subtle ones.
yeah, like very subtle things to the UI and to like characters and to like just the way that the game worked and getting around the game worked. So like I have never, and like yeah, seeing them experiment with Catherine and being like, hey, like let's just do something weird, and we can because Persona 4 is like kind of making us money in the background, and like seeing that and loving just like their style is unlike anything else in like Japanese role-playing games. So I've never had like more faith in a studio. Like the P Studios is doing for Japanese role-playing games what Naughty Dog is doing for like the Western kind of video game.
And like there was a discussion that like, I had with Alex before about like Japanese. There's a feeling you get when you play Japanese games that like you kind of don't get from like Western games, and not to be like insulting or something like that, but like when you think of stuff like when like they first showed Twilight Princess and people got like, so emotional, people were crying, they were cheering and everything like that, they couldn't believe what they're seeing, but like
You should look up that the crowd reaction to that trailer.
The first trailer.
Yeah, it's
really
crazy. It's crazy.
and like if you say tomorrow like we're doing The Last of Us 2, no one's gonna be like, oh my god, it'll be like,
It's not going to be like the Shenmue 3 guy who's like,
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
There's something about the way they make games and the way you feel when you play those games that like invokes this emotion that you just can't get out of like other places. Not to say that you can't, because like you know like indie games are doing that now. Like Life is Strange is like one of the most emotional games I've ever played in my life, and like if they announce another one, I would be pumped for it. But you know that's kind of like I don't really need that at the same time as well. So
like Mass Effect, even like to
Yeah.
go off that example, it's super emotional, super great journey. But like, yeah, it's there is something, and you have to buy in, right? You have to kind of like give yourself over to like the kind of hokiness and the kind of self-awareness of the Japanese style video game.
yeah, Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
I would never recommend anybody to play that game. Like
Yeah,
at this
ever.
point, no.
Yeah.
Like unless you were there from the beginning.
yeah.
Yeah, like
You don't understand.
yeah.
But like there are so many people that were there from the beginning that are like us, and like their crazy emotional reactions aren't like, it's not uncommon because like there's something there. It's something intangible there.
It's a real feeling, dude.
Yeah. So like there's just something about, it's not just JRPGs and like specifically also, it's like there's something about like Japanese developed games that I think just evokes that, and I don't know. It's the culture comes out in that way.
That's a good sell. As someone who doesn't really play JRPGs.
Yeah, that's like kind of try to sell the
Persona
get you
at
to
all.
understand.
So.
It's difficult to explain, but
Would
yeah.
I be able to jump into Persona 5 without having played
Absolutely.
4?
That's the most exciting thing about 5 also, because like they're really leaving everything behind, just like they did with 4 after 3. They're just like, hey, this is a whole new entry point. Anybody can play this. All new characters.
Sort of like how I'm not exactly, but a good example, like recent example would be Witcher 3 to an extent of like, hey, like this is a good jumping in.
I would say even more so than that, because like Witcher 3 still had characters kind of dependent on a universe and lore,
Yeah.
but like all the characters of Persona 5 are new.
Okay.
Like all the characters they've shown, none of them have been in any previous.
So it's like
Persona
Homefront
game.
2.
Other than Igor, but he's
Yeah,
just,
but, like-
he's like the medium, so it's not.
Yeah, Igor's like a kind of stylistic constant,
Yeah.
right? He just proves that this is a Persona game. But like, you know, the same was true from 4 to 3, right? Nothing in 4 references 3 until there's like an Easter egg part of that game that's a little bit about 3. But even if you had never played 3, that still would have just been like a fun side thing.
Okay.
And it wasn't until the Persona 4 Arena games came out that it really tied 3 and 4 together, and it actually did that really well, which is cool.
Yeah. This is a good sell on Persona 5. I might. Is it going to be available for PS4?
PS4 and PS3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I might check it out.
I'm very, very excited. Not just because like it looks like it's got style and everything, but I have a lot of faith in that studio to deliver like a step up from a game that was already really excellent.
Cool. And the last question I have for you guys today is, you guys have been very experienced with podcasting over the years. So for anybody new trying to start a podcast or whatnot, what advice would you give to someone who is starting up a podcast?
I'm really curious to see what your advice is.
I mean, like,
Show up.
But that is good advice.
That is genuinely
and that's
good
something
advice.
like we did not do that well at the beginning of BzG, right? I think the second week Ricky was gone and we had to like bring in a guest like out of fucking nowhere. And
Me specifically.
it was you, okay? Because I remember the last time you were here, I actually asked you that question again, and so I'm interested to see what your follow-up question is, or follow-up answer. Since last time you were here, but the last time you were here and something that stood out to me, and I was like, fuck, we totally fucked that up, was don't have guests on until like episode 10.
So you've established like a rapport.
Yeah, and that's something we totally did not do. We brought in a guest on like the second episode, so it was like, but I do recommend sort of like being able to know who you're podcasting with. It might be a good one.
Yeah, it's a matter of like familiarity of being with the people that you're around. Like for the most part, for me, like I'm not too much of a person who like I'm not that much of a commenter. I'm just a person who's there. I'm one of those the silent minorities, I guess you could say, because I'm a minority.
Damn, sorry for it.
But you know, like I speak out every once in a while to say like, hey, like you did a good job with this game or something like that to certain people, but like it's hard to put into words. So I'm trying to think, but like I feel like being when you're trying to start up something, you need to have consistency. You need to be able to like at least put your point out there, even if people disagree with it. At least like make your point be known and like try to like give and take at the same time. Don't just like give all your opinion. Don't expect something bad, getting some backlash, and you're not able to defend that or something like that. And like, I don't know, man. Like, this is mostly just an Alex thing, and like, I just kind of jumped onto it, honestly.
But I guess the other question, sort of a follow up, is that after doing it for so long, you guys are approaching 300 soon in the next. By the end of the year?
This year, yeah. It's
Okay.
October.
Episode 300 of the Irrational Passions podcast. You guys have been doing this for a while. So I guess the other question I have is, how do you keep things... Having a podcast with people is sort of like having sex with someone you're in a relationship with. So
that's how I think of it.
How do you guys keep things interesting and to bringing new things into the table or whatnot? Like, what have you found over the years that
Don't
is
talk
like
to each other for like a week.
We just don't talk to each other. So like when we podcast, it's the only time we ever talk to each other.
I mean,
it's basically just sort of like a catching up sort of thing?
sort of. We text each other. We tweet each other. So we're still in contact with each other. But it's more like it's more like hanging with your best friends when you don't see them all that often. Like I don't like Alex being one of my best friends and like my best friends at home. Like I don't see them every day. Like I used to live with them, and this is the perfect example. Anyway, like I used to live with my best friends, and like me living with my best friends meant that they're here all the time, so I could just pretty much stay in my room because like whatever, they're gonna be here.
Yeah.
And then like as soon as I left. I really, really started to miss them. So like it was more of like every time I come over and every time we talk to each other, it was so much more special just like to see them and like hang out with them.
Don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, it's like one of those type of things.
To answer your first question, like consistency for sure is like a good way to keep things going. Like showing up is honestly really, really important. Like that was like the thing, and I see so many like new shows have this problem. Like when we started recording, and like as the host, I knew I was going to go into it as like I'm going to be the host, right? I'm going to kind of be directing the traffic of the show. As opposed to a lot of other podcasts, like you look at something like Game Over Greggy, right? There's no like Greg is the host, right?
Yeah.
But like that show just kind of directs itself. right? Whereas like if you listen to Irrational Passions podcast, I am like the traffic control guy pointing people down the low, like, okay, what are you doing? And like, hey, how does this relate to this other person? And like kind of bringing those conversations together. So like I'm always like on point listening. I have to be paying attention constantly unless Tony's talking about Clash of Clans. In which case I'm almost falling asleep for the first time in 270 episodes. It's the only time it's ever happened. I'm sorry, Danny Juarez. We had you on a show where I was very tired.
Did you fall asleep in the middle of an episode?
I didn't fall asleep.
Okay.
But I almost did, because Tony's talked about Clash of Clans. But like the thing, like using the Bombcast as my chief inspiration, right? We had a set recording day.
I wish I listened to the Giant Bombcast for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I was like, that's where he gets his format from.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. We have the format of the Bombcast. It used to have some other stuff in it. We just kind of like boiled it down to the stuff that we like doing. We have other stuff. And I'll get to that in a second as far as like to keep things interesting. But yeah, like I was like, hey, we're going to record on Friday nights at a set time every week. It's always going to be Friday. Schedule off work, clear your schedule. It's always going to be the same night every week. So you have no excuse not to be there. Yeah. And like that is like, we've done that ever since the beginning. Yeah. So like now it's Saturdays, right? And we might be switching back to Fridays, hopefully. But like it is always the same night every week. And we're always like, hey, I've got my work availability set, so I can't work Saturday nights because like this is top priority, and it's always the same night. So that's so huge. No one does that ever. Like, and like not to put you on blast or anyone else on blast. It's just like that is like having that like grounded to your week, right? Yeah, really does help. Like, because you can form a schedule around it as well.
Yeah, and when you're so used to it, it's just like, oh yeah,
it's Friday night. Yeah, it's like, let's do this, okay?
Yeah.
And like, you know, that it helps that you know, it's kind of like our poker night, you know, to use the comedy button comparison, like that's our get together night where we just talk about games. As far as like keeping things interesting, we're lucky because like we've had hosts come and go, and it hasn't like made the show worse. We've just kind of shifted, right? Like the show started as 3 people, Scott, Evan, and I, and then it was Scott, Evan, I, and Joe Fate. And then Nabeshin, and then Tony came on, and then Nabeshin came on, and then Joe left, and then Tony and stopped coming on, and then Evan stopped coming on, and Tony started coming on. And Greg, yeah, kind of like in and out constantly throughout like a whole year there. Greg Blaney. So like we've had like these alternating kind of sets of hosts, and typically like when we kind of settle into like a 4 or 5 that we're having consistently, do a few weeks with just those, kind of like that establish that repertoire, and then start bringing in guests like every week. I bring in guests constantly now. Like I schedule them out months in advance, like me, like Barrett, like, you know, like Alan.
I remember here's one of the first exchanges you and I had, right? Is I emailed you. I'm a scared little schoolgirl in like tipping my toes into like the business of video game coverage, and I gave you like this super like professional like written email about like, hey, I'm a huge fan of this podcast, and I would love if you wanted to, you know, record podcast like an episode together and whatnot. Like I'd love to do that, and it would be an honor to podcast with you one day. Yeah. And I remember you just sent me back this like, hey man, that's cool.
That is not what I said. I was very flattered that you would consider it an honor to podcast with me.
I mean, you guys are definitely someone like you guys have a really great dynamic and a really good rapport with all of you,
and like that's important. That comes from doing it for 278 episodes.
Yeah, like even though I was been gone for like 2 months now, like I still listen every week, and like Scott and Tony on top of it. Like,
like everyone brings it now, especially like Scott, like from beginning to like now on the show, and Tony recently for sure, like since the beginning of the year, of like they just like been bringing it so much, and I love it. Like I appreciate like it's effortless. Like when I'm like tired or whatever, they can step up and kind of fill in that gap. But like we've also changed the format of the show a lot. You know, we had different segments. We used to start with news, right, and we would go from there. We used to start with emails, like for a time there. Like we've had tons of different formats, like
experimenting around and whatnot.
Like the show was getting like 3 hours long every single week, and I was like, how do we make this better? And it was like, at the beginning of the show, we would do like hey, what's new with you? And then Nabeshin suggests the idea of like, hey, we're doing these YouTube videos. Why don't we do that in the YouTube video before we start recording, and then when we record, we just go right into the video games, and like that's the birth of bonus content, right?
Yeah.
And I love bonus content. It's like the coolest thing. I'm really happy with it.
YouTube.com/Irrational Passions.
Yes.
Yeah, YouTube.com/Irrational Passions. That's how I actually intake my IP content. I watch the video version and I don't listen to the podcast.
Yeah,
version.
and like I like that's option for some
Yeah.
people who don't like use podcast services, and that way they can see us if they want to, and it has that extra stuff and it's unedited, so like they know, okay, I'm not getting as like polished a thing, but I'm also getting extra stuff and extra stuff if I care about that.
Yeah.
And like I love that bonus content over like the last year is kind of more from like
God, it has been a year, hasn't it?
yeah, has more from like the Scott, how was your week? Tony, how was your week? Alex, how was your week? Nabeshin, how was your week? To like this kind of like sometimes
It's
topical.
it's sort of like a pregame almost
yeah,
into the podcast.
it's become like how is our week, but also it's like a single topic of the Game Over Greggy show in a lot of ways of like let's just talk about a weird thing, like let's just talk about Batman versus Superman.
I tuned into that episode. It was a
Yeah,
good one.
so like you know,
It sucked.
yes.
I liked your review, by the way, of it.
Oh, you like
Yeah,
my review?
yeah.
Cool.
That is Civil
Trevor
War.
Starkey was a little critical of my video reviews.
Of course he was.
He's always critical of everything that I do.
Being open to format changes and feedback.
Trevor.
I love you too, Trevor.
You're right.
Well, yeah, and that's the most important thing. You always got to just sort of bringing my 2 cents in before we close out this segment is always be open to feedback. And I think that's the most important thing for BzG was the first ever feedback I got was 3 months after we started doing Let's Plays, and someone was like, you guys need to get a better fucking mic. And like, but they said it way more politely, and they're like, "Oh, hey, like this is actually funny, but you guys, your mic sucks." And like, and you got to take that in. You got to be, and it's always don't take in every piece of feedback because some pieces of feedback like are not our Civil War review, but my reacts to the trailer, the second trailer where they show
okay.
off Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Someone was like, "Man, you real suck at this. You should stop." And it's like you gotta ignore
right,
that
chill,
shit.
dog.
You gotta ignore that
Yeah,
shit.
it's gonna
I
happen.
didn't. I personally didn't. I sort of regret that I didn't ignore that. But
Hella hard.
and I also you just gotta, when you see the good constructive criticism of people who want to see your content do better, always have an open mind.
Like just for example, like the reason why we switched the like what's up with you to bonus content was like I did this thing for like 3 weeks in a row. I was like at the very end of the show, like right before we did outros, I was like, hey, if you got to this point in the show, tweet at me and let me know that you got this far in the show, because I want to know how many people are actually getting to the end of the show. And like more people than I thought got to me,
Yeah.
but not as many as who listen. I'm like, okay, we have to work on the length of this show. You know, we still go long, but I think the core of that, of the discussions that we're having, are way more constructive and way more valuable now. Just because of like just changes to the content that I let filter into the show. And, you know, they care about it. Like, give a shit, and that'll just happen.
Yeah, and that was the cool thing with BzG. You know, we didn't start like when I started this, I started it not like this is whatever. This will be a nice little thing I do every week. And then it was like a month later where I was like, okay, I'm in this.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like being here, like.
I know.
I
It's
was
an
like-
honor for you to be here in San
No,
Francisco.
I'm like being here and just like seeing your setup and seeing how you're working it, man. And like I couldn't be more.
80% of the credit goes to Seven, our tech guy. 'Cause
Yes.
if he didn't bring any of this, BzG would not be a
Still a
thing.
lot
So
of work, though.
like
Yeah.
Seven Morris is fucking awesome. You should follow him on Twitter at Seven Morris. But the Owen Morris is a 0. I think you can find his Twitter link in the description below. But yeah, and that's like I have a lot of passion for this, and it was like I didn't know I did until a couple weeks into it. Because before I did this, I was a huge theater person. Like I was doing theater for 5 years, and then I realized I absolutely hated it at one point. So I'm flattered that you see that. You know,
I'm super impressed, dude. Like, bravo, seriously.
Yeah.
that's cool because no one else seems to be. But that's the cool thing is that you guys inspired. You guys are one of the people that inspired me to like get a full like head on into this shit because you guys just have like one of those feud podcasts that I just actually listen to. You know, it's not like. At first, it wasn't like, oh, I want to support my friends. You know, it was like, oh, these guys are actually really smart in like how they talk about video games, and they have a good rapport with each other. And I sort of like that inspired me to get into BzG and improve it as much as I could. So really, I want to say is thank you guys for being you guys.
Thank you, Barrett.
Thank you guys for being here today. I know we did a lot of recording today. An entire episode of Talking Shit, which you can find next week right here on YouTube, or if you're a Patreon supporter, you can listen to it tomorrow. So thank you guys. We did a shit ton of recording today. You'll be able to find Nabeshin and Alex on next week's episode of Talking Shit, like I just said. And Alex and I will be doing Let's Plays next week of Okage Shadow King. And Nabeshin and I will be doing Let's Plays at some point. I don't know. I'm recording like a shit ton of Let's Plays shit this week, and I have no idea when any of it's coming out. So at one point, Nabeshin and I are going to play something. It'll be fucking fun. So you can find that. But you can also find all of their content at irrationalpassions.com. You can follow them on Twitter. I'm sure I've been annotating it and shit here, and it's probably also in the description below.
So what I want you to do is annotate my Twitter handle on the cord of this microphone.
No, you can't tell me how to edit this video. Fuck you. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. It was really cool to bring you guys in for the first in-house Gamer of the Month interview, not on this Google Hangouts bullshit that you guys like to do. It's just my mic doesn't work with Google Hangouts for some fucking reason, and it's the fucking worst. So
welcome to the biz. It's always a nightmare.
Again, thank you guys so much, and thank you guys so much for joining us for BzG News this week. Remember, BzG News is up every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on YouTube. Join us next week for some more nerdy news, and until then, stay nerdy. Thank you so much. The fake audience that we have here. I'm explaining to Alex and Nabeshin. I wave goodbye to a fake audience because I edit in clapping people at the end of this video. Thank you.